I grew up in Leicester, and in those days, in the 30s, it was not unusual for a boy of 12 to get on a bicycle and disappear into the countryside on his own, by himself, and not return home until dark. That's what we all did. And anybody who cared about, found an interest in the countryside could do that. And it's a great pity that now we feel that kids are unsafe. We do, I think, overprotect our kids. I mean, I was tree climbing, from the age of 8, and I never fell out. And I'm sorry that I hope we don't mollycoddle our kids too much. I also hope we allow kids to collect. One of the problems about collecting, of course, which I think is one of the foundations of a decent naturalist, is that now we can't. I understand why we can't collect birds' eggs. I understand why we can't collect flowers, of course. But it is a great loss, I think. And I certainly collected fossils from the Jurassic of the eastern part of Leicestershire. And I knew what the fossils were when I was 12 or 14. And that taught me a lot about natural history. And there were some very nice people, particularly Leicester Museum. There was a nice man called Gregory, Mr. Gregory, who was head of geology, and who taught me a lot, and allowed me to work in the basement of the museum, theoretically helping him sort fossils, from which I learned a lot.
Because one of my questions was going to how did you learn so much? But let's come back to fossils. They've been a passion for you for much of your life. You'll do it coming up on Friday. Is two big programs on fossils. Why have you waited so long to do something that's such an enormous passion?
Well, two reasons. One is that the things I'm doing on Friday, it's about invertebrate paleontology. It's about everybody thinks fossils. No, not everybody. People who don't know about fossils think it's all about dinosaurs. And of course, people who know about fossils know that it's not. It's about little shells, it's about little brachiopods, it's ammonites, it's belemnites, it's those sort of things. And they're desperately neglected. And so they are nonetheless in the idea in the minds of television administrators, not immediately sexy. I remember trying to sell a series I did a long time ago called Life on Earth, and I was going to this American executive, and I said, what we're going to do in 3 one-hour programs is the history of life. We will do it properly, we won't skimp it, and we'll start with the very first organisms in the first program. And he said, the first program of a 13-part series, you're going to start with an hour of green slime? And he didn't buy the series. He didn't. Anyway, so that's one reason.
That's one reason.
The second reason is that what these programs are about, the first one anyway, is primarily about the very, very earliest fossils, Precambrian fossils, from 600 to 1,000 million years old, which the information of which, knowledge of which, has come within the last 30 years. And on top of that, today we can do computer-generated imaging with a degree of reality which is quite breathtaking. I once did a program on dinosaurs about 20 years ago, and I refused to put in any computer imaging or rather any animations, because they're kind of made to look like children's toys, So I did it without that. But now we can really do it. And so I'm not only doing these 2 programs, I'm also doing a 3D program about pterosaurs, great, whopping great pterodactyls and things zooming around, which is quite good in 3D.
That must be quite exciting to make.
It's thrilling to make, actually, and I mean, part of the thrill from my point of view, and this is just vanity, but I did start in television in 1952 and using the very, very first cameras that in the world to put out a public transmission of television. So there are 405 lines, black and white, mounted on bicycle wheels, and punted about, and everything was live. And to be able to make now, having started there, to make one that's in HD and in colour and in 3D is very exciting. But I must say it's a pain in the butt, actually, because the camera takes 12 people to keep it happy. And changing a lens takes 3/4 of an hour.
Filming slow enough already, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But just at the same time that you're getting these little tiny cameras where suddenly you can really have freedom of vision. Yeah. We are moving to the next stage up, and you find yourself shackled to this great monster thing.
Now, I'd heard a couple of rumours about this 3D thing that you're doing. Firstly, that you'd taken some kind of personal risks while preparing it. Is that...
Not really.
You were talking earlier on about the need for people to be able to take risks, and I think that includes all of us. It sounds like you were doing a couple of quite risky things.
Well, I thought, I mean, the biggest pterosaur of all was a thing called Quetzalcoatlus, which had a wingspan of 40 feet, terrific. And I thought, how can we make in 3D, how can we bring this to life? How can people really feel what a huge creature this was, how to get a sense of scale? And I thought, I know, a hang glider. I'll do it in a hang glider. We'll zoom around and then we'll put in the computer, put in the pterosaur, see? But the insurance people thought that was not a good idea. So now I'm doing it, I've done it in a glider. It's absolutely terrific, really. I mean, well, it will be. I mean, I've just been looking at the completed animation. I'm gliding around I don't drive a glider, of course. I don't know anything about that. Bloke at the back, who's the world champion glider, was piloting. But then into the picture will come this whopping great thing and zoom around us. It'll be quite fun.
You've always been at the cutting edge, I think, of programme making, and you're still right there.